Throughout the latter half of 2019, we've been occasionally checking in on the war of Donald Trump versus Fox News. It's been brewing, it's even had some casualties. Shep Smith is now gone because of this conflict. But I have what might have been the beginning of it, or at least its public face, and that was when Donald Trump lost it over Fox and Friends committing a cardinal sin. And that sin was just admitting that he was down in the polls to some of his Democratic opponents.
Head to head with the president. He beats President Trump by 10 points. Sanders beats him by 6. Warren and Harris basically flat-footed tie.
Early, barely by it, doesn't matter.
Barely by it. And by the way, while he is a fool, Pete Hegseth is not necessarily wrong. He's not necessarily wrong, but you saw there, Fox and Friends is willing to at least admit that the general election polling for Donald Trump is not going so well. And it's on Fox and Friends, so Donald Trump was watching, and they knew that. So he tweeted almost instantly, Fox News is at it again, so different from what they used to be during the 2016 primaries and before. Proud warriors, now new, like the Klingons. Now new Fox polls, which have always been terrible to me. They had me losing big to Crooked Hillary. Have me down to Sleepy Joe. I hate even saying that. I shouldn't say it in the future. Even considering the fact that I have gone through a 3-year vicious witch hunt perpetrated by the Lamestream Media in collusion with Crooked and the Democrat Party. If you just woke someone up from hypersleep and read them that paragraph, it would not mean anything. But that's the weird world we're living in.
So you have a Klingon reference and hypersleep in the same span?
I've been reading a lot of sci-fi recently. Something Skeksis. Anyway, so he says there can be no way that he's losing to the sleepy one, which sort of adds a little bit of, I don't know, it's sort of glorifying the Joe Biden thing.
So here's the thing, Donald, this is lame, how you are losing to a sleepy man. You, cranky boy, are losing to sleepy man. You should be sad, you should be distraught. They didn't make up those polls, you are losing. That is bad for you. So if anyone's lame, it's the guy who's losing to the person that you're labeling as comatose.
Yeah, and I will say, as we always say, this poll, as the wise man Pete Hegseth once said, it's really early, doesn't mean anything. That's true. Don't get complacent off of polls right now when it's still like 6 months to the first primary vote. Don't get complacent on polls the day of the election. Don't get complacent, by the way, on the results of the election, because they're likely to be contested one way or another. So I'm not really concerned about what the polls say. It's got Biden up, it's got Bernie up, it's got a bunch of people up against him. What I'm interested in is all it takes is Fox briefly acknowledging reality, and Donald Trump is very publicly attacking them. And we know that where Donald goes, his base goes. And so I think that this is not only putting pressure on Fox, which is as deferential as any media outlet, I would say, outside of maybe OAN, is to any president, but it's probably gonna be effective pressure. Fox and Friends doesn't want to get bombarded with tweets from Trump fans that suddenly hate them.
Yeah, that's the strategy. The strategy is for Trump to be Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, is that what he is?
Yeah.
And then to have the Fox News be their little canine pet. And for every time they step even remotely or perceptibly or imperceptibly out of line, him to go, tss, and this is him going, tss.
Yeah.
And that's it, and it'll work, and it continues to work. The only time it doesn't work is occasionally with Chris Wallace, who within 24 hours will go back the other way.
Which he did this week. Also Shep Smith, I would say he's even more consistently.
Where's he been?
I don't know.
I don't hear it, and I don't see it. Which is possible that Donald doesn't watch Shep.
That's true.
And that could perfectly explain it.
Yeah, the only thing sort of complicating your Cesar Millan analogy is that in this case, if the dog barks, very likely he will also bark, because we know he will live tweet what they say.
Yeah.
But in any event, I would love to not have this sort of weird incestuous relationship between a major media outlet and a presidency. I don't think that we've seen anything like this in recent years, and I would love to go back to a time when we don't necessarily have that.
Trump loses it when Fox News admits reality. That is the message. Fox said.
That might be the title.
But yeah, that's it. I mean, Trump loses it every time Fox slips and admits what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And that's the message.
That probably is the lesson. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.